Hello, my fellow readers. I, Dark Symphony 777, with another fan fiction reading. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, and leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts of the story. Now, the story I am doing a reading of is Batman and Batgirl Love in the Night. It is a Batman story by Gray 1846. And who doesn't like Batman? Oh, God. My throat just hurts just from doing the second. Let me do like an hour-long narration of in a Scottish accent. I can do that, no problem. Well, let's get started. Okay, so author's note. We do not own Batman. Of course. Gotham City was a dark, dirty place, but it had hidden beauty. Beauty that was preserved thanks to several individuals. They were defenders of the night. Those who stuck fear into those who dared to defile this gem in the rough and currently a one of those defenders. Yeah. A woman was standing atop a gargoyle. She looked below the dark streets. She was dressed in a dark purple suit with a black cloak. It had a yellow interior. Her seat-up chest bore a yellow bat symbol. Her belt was the same yellow, laden with pouches for gadgets. Her gloves and boots were the same yellow, though they didn't look high-tech, more like they were hiker's boots and clip boots. Her name was Barbara Gordon, the Batgirl, and right now she was on a stakeout. Seeing an attempted burglary take place. Showtime. She thought, gliding down to the roof of the bank and entered through the ventilation grift, but before she even reached the grid, the world turned fuzzy and faded away. A woman yawned as she awoke from her sleep, sitting up, the same woman in the dream. She woke from a present dream, that pleasant dream being her past. Another day, she sighed as she tried to literally drag herself out of the bed. You see, Barbara was paralyzed from the waist down. Some years ago, the Joker came to her father's door and shot her right in the spine, all in an attempt to drive her mad, to prove her point. And the worst thing? She was just collateral damage to get at her father. Not because she had been Batgirl. Joker didn't even know that. Barbara pulled herself into her wheelchair and carefully rolled herself out of her bedroom. She was dressed in her pink and lilac pajamas. The shirt was long-sleeved with a cat for a motif. She opened the door and entered the living room. She and the couch and the TV, the table for her meals and the bathroom door. She sighed, looking at a picture she had set on her computer desk. It was of her with her friends, before the Joker, back when she was Batgirl. Specifically her, unless that's an actual word, it should be specifically. Her out of costume, wearing a tight purple short sleeve shirt, her hair tied in a ponytail, and what you else couldn't be seen. She was grinning happily, her arms wrapped around her shoulders of an attractive and strong-built man with short black hair and sparkling blue eyes. The man wearing a smart black suit, and he had a small smile which you could only be noticed if you looked close. She smiled sadly at the picture, her hand touching her stomach as she remembered her past. Remembered the happier times. Barbara was swinging through Gotham as Batgirl. Thinking back, she would say she wasted that time. Took it in her legs for granted, but that wasn't what was important now. I'm actually trying out this right now. That's right. Okay. Barbara flipped several times before she landed on a roof, her body aching and rolling to spread the impact and not hurt herself. Already knowing another figure was already there waiting for her. "You're late," the figure said in a deep, gruff voice that sent shivers down Barbara's spine. "Sorry, had to deal with a stolen car and kidnapping," she said, standing tall as the figure walked into the light. It was a tall man in an armored suit, menacing but invoked respect among his peers. His cowl had pointed ears reminiscent of a flying rodent. His forearms had 3 fins for added effect for attack and defense, a yellow belt with numerous canisters and pouches for occasions. All but his mouth was covered. His eyes were shielded by white lenses, giving him the appearance of a creature of the night than a human. And on his grey armored chest was a symbol of a black bat. This was the Batman. "Were you careful?" Batman asked. I didn't know you cared so much. Fine, Barbara smiled, even if she looked away a bit to hide her blushing cheek. I don't. Of course I care. Part of the family, Batman honest answered honestly and simple. Why do I keep messing up the story? Not changing his pitch. That just made Barbara blush brighter, matching her hair. How's your father? Batman asked. He's fine. Worried about you after what Joker did, but he's fine. Barbara nodded. It had been a few months since Jason Todd, the second Robin, had been killed, and Batman was becoming colder, except for Barbara. She felt he was closer to her before. It's been difficult. For what he did, Batman answered. I know, Barbara nodded, looking right at him and walking towards him nervously. She reached out to touch him on the shoulder, but he backed up. We need to go, he said, driving off the building. Diving off the building, my bad. Go where? She asked, following him as they glided through the city. Patrol. There was a breakout from Arkham, Batman informed. Arkham? Who escaped? Barbara asked with worry. The female prisoners led by Ivy. Poison Ivy? How many female prisoners? Barbara asked. The classic three of her, Carly and Catwoman, as well as Roxy Rocket and a few others. Aiden told him. Roxy Rocket? Haven't heard of her, Batman answered as they landed on a roof. She's obsessed with speed and over-the-top insane daredevil. Sounds fun. Barbara deadpanned. She likes to think so. I mean, what? She's like, what's the name of the what's the name of that crazy chick from Kim Possible? The one who Adrenaline. There we go. Adrenaline. Reminds me of her. Who's first? She asked, her costume different than the one from her dream. She was wearing a mainly gray costume with a blue cowl and cape with a yellow interior, black gloves and boots with a yellow bat cell on her chest and yellow belt around her waist. Gray's suit was also a bit tighter, showing off her figure more, which made her the source of quite a few wet dreams of men and women all across Gotham. Her pointed to the first escaped convict. Batman followed her finger and saw Catwoman sneaking into a building. Catwoman? She was in Arkham? Barbara asked. She was, Batman nodded. She kept breaking out of Iron Heights. Somehow, I'm not surprised, Barbara sighed. Batman nodded, the two ready to strike. Very nice, Catwoman smiled as she examined several jewelry, only to hear the flurry case behind her. Batman? And Batbaby. Batgirl, Batman. Barbara thought, containing her anger. It's over, Catwoman. It's come quietly, Batman said as he emerged from the shadows. Oh, Bats, must we do the sing and dance with the baby here? Doesn't our time together mean anything? Catwoman purred teasingly. What? She started gently. Don't make this difficult, Catwoman. Batman stared. Aw, you want to be rough? She grinned, snapping her whip. Why don't you shut up? Batman snarled. She threw her batarangs without even thinking, charging. Where did you get this girl? Catwoman asked as she deflected the attacks. Because I want to adopt her with you, Batsy. What? Batman? Barbara thought as she was deflected onto the floor so Catwoman and Batman could fight. Stand down, Catwoman, Batman said simply, uncaring. Aw, no playtime, she pouted as she used her whip on him, only for a grapple to hook her ankle and tripped her up. Go! She flipped forwards and landed in front of Batman's feet. Gotcha, Batman. Batgirl smirked. Oh my god, it's just confusing me all the time. Batman putting bat cuffs. Forgot that like half of Batman stuff has the word bat in it. Cue so much confusion. Onto the car themed thief. Aw, no fair. God, so many grammar errors. No fair, Catwoman pouted. You're under arrest, was all Batman said, pressing a button on his vest to call the police. Until next time, Bats. And baby, you're cute for this line of work, Catwoman commented. Let Mummy and Daddy handle it. Shut up, bitch, she snapped. Take it back. You're a teenager, Catwoman answered. Selina, quiet, Bruce said simply before he left to track her and left the place. Fine, she sighed, and was forced to wait for the police to pick her up. Barbara quickly left the room, following Bruce, who left for the rooftops, and then Barbara tried to talk to him, but felt ashamed for letting her emotions get the better of her. You see, she felt attracted to the mysterious mentor figure of hers, but with that fight back hair, would he only see an emotionally driven girl? Or a woman who had another person crawl under her skin? She actually felt self-conscious now. What do I say? I don't want to let him know. I'm not like that. But, oh man, she thought. Suddenly the bat signal shone in the sky, breaking her from her worrying. Your father, Batman spoke simply as they flew over to the signal. Barbara nodded as they landed on the roof, Batman walking towards Gordon. Ah, Batman! Batgirl! He nodded respectfully to the pair, with a pipe in his mouth. Barbara steeled herself, looking at her father. Good God, catching Catwoman. Can't believe the lengths of some of these women, he spoke. You go okay, Batgirl? You look intense. Fine, she nodded. Jim Gordon was wearing a brown trench coat with a white buttoned shirt under a police issue gun holster, though he rarely used it. He wore dark blue trousers that seemed wet at the bottom with the pillows of Gotham and pitch black fake leather shoes. His hair was graying from its natural red and brown, a dark red mustache and stubbled chin, and he finally wore square framed glasses. Why did you call, Gordon? Batman asked. Harley's been found. Gwen? Girl asked. Is she with Joker? No, Joker's still locked up, Jim assured. Good, she'll be safer away from him. Was she with Ivy or with Joker's gang? Batgirl asked. She was with Ivy, according to reports, but Harley wandered off in the middle of a heist because she was chasing a puppy. Did that actually happen? Okay. Gordon read off the report, sweat dropping. A puppy. Okay, this is actually kind of hilarious. Unintentionally hilarious, but still hilarious. Batman asked, standing serious, but couldn't believe it. What breed? Barbara asked, holding back her gulls. What? The report said cute puppy? So, anything dangerous? Which great, probably. Gordon sighed. Only Harley, Batman sighed. Any idea which district she was in last? Just the Botanical District. That's where we got the report on Ivy. Harley ran off elsewhere, Gordon answered, but as he turned around, the two were already gone. Damn, now there's two of them, he sighed. With the bats. Harley Quinn chasing puppies. Barbara couldn't help repeating it and laughed to herself, hoping that Batman wouldn't hear. She is one of the more innocent-minded villains. It is the damage that Joker did to her that makes her dangerous and need Arkham, he said, however making Barbara blush. Oh, sorry. Do you think she can get help? Barbara asked. I can only hope. Like with all of them, was his only reply before he went silent. I mean, isn't Harley technically a anti-hero now? Like, I mean, she did technically get help. So, clearly ending the conversation from his point of view. I hope so, Barbara thought, as they saw a small trail of chaos leading them to an abandoned apartment complex. You sure she's here? She asked. The coroner says yes, but it could be one of the others, Batman answered. Batgirl nodded, slipping aside carefully. You're a smoochy puppy, aren't you? Aren't you? Harley's voice asked her puppy. Batgirl followed the voice silently. Batman behind her. Yes, you are. Yes, you are, Harley added. The puppy cheered. Batman nodded as they approached the room Harley was in. Good puppy, JJ, Harley smiled as Batman and Batgirl saw that the puppy was being fed. Barbara approached her head in the room, seeing what was going on and taking in Harley's appearance. He was dressed in a black and red leather-like costume with her face painted white. Her blonde hair tinted at the tips with one side black and one side red. Donned up in pigtails, her teacup breasts having a distinct cleavage due to the upper costume. Her tight leather pants were half red and half black. Her leather boots were reserved coloring to their pants legs. A red and black corset matched her boots and fingerless gloves that matched her pants. Harley was a beautiful and shapely. Wait. Are you using the Is this the Arkham City, Harley? That's kind of weird. I think I'm not familiar with the Killing Joke, so I'm not sure how familiar what she looked like in that comic, if she showed up at all. But I don't know. I'm just guessing Arkham City. Filling out the costume perfectly. In front of her was a tiny puppy that was happily eating from her bowl, its tail wagging as Harley giggled. What breed is that? Barbara whispered, unable to help herself. It's like a Jack Russell Terrier. Aww. I like Jack Russells. Batman responded. Okay, JJ, after you eat, we'll go for a walk and you can do your business. Harley smiled. Yep. The puppy smiled. What's his plan? Batman asked, walking from the shadows. B-Man, she asked. This is exactly what it looks like. They should be honest. Harley answered, raising her hands in front of Batman and protecting JJ. I can see that, he deadpanned. Kneeling down, he held out his hand gently, the dog running off and sniffing his hand happily. Batman smiled, rubbing behind the puppy's ear. The puppy began to pant and smile happily. Oh, he likes you, Harley smiled. Please let me keep him, she begged. I believe I can find someone to look after him while you're in Arkham. Batman deadpanned. Oh, JJ. Harley's lip quivered, giving puppy dog eyes. The puppy ran over and began to lick her face, smiling. Aw, JJ. What should we do, Batgirl asked, seeing the pair. Batman just pulled off some handcuffs, sighing. Oh, do I have to be... Harley frowned, but still held JJ close. Do I have to be, man? She begged, to which he nodded. Oh, okay. Look after JJ for me, please, she asked. I promise, Hard. He said, only to be held in a tight hug as she kissed him. Barbara looked in shock at that. The immediate hug and kiss upon Batman from Harley can give any credence to go, what the fuck? The fuck? Thanks, big man. E-man, you're the sweetest. Harley smiled as she broke the kiss. He answered simply. JJ asked, tilting his head. Why did you call it JJ? Batman asked as Harley picked up the puppy and hugged it. Joker Jr.? Harley blushed. Of course, Batman thought. Barbara sighed. You named your puppy after Joker. Batman asked. Joker never listens to me. He does. Harley answered. Then why name him after him? Batman asked. Why not Ace or something you want? Sort of therapy deal, but Ace is cool. Ah. Harley smiled. Batman nodded, taking the puppy from her. Please treat him well. Please, Harley asked. I promised. Deny, Batman reassured her. Can you two try and visit once a week or something? She asked one last time before he put the handcuffs on her. Really? Batman thought without getting any indication. Batgirl eye as he cupped. No, you and JJ, she frowned. I'll try. Thanks, B-Man. Oh, that's actually kind of sweet. He's like, I'm going to get better with the power of a dog. Man! I mean, Harley has to get redeemed somewhere. Not from a dog. Thanks, B-Man, Harley smiled. She kissed his cheek before he set down the police transmitter and quickly wrote a letter. He put down the to the transmitter and JJ. Sit, he told the puppy, which it did before he left. Two women, really? I can't even, Barbara thought as they were going through Gotham. She sighed, followed him. So, who's left? Unless the GCPD have caught them. Barbara spoke, trying to hide her sadness with an upper pitch. Only Ivy's left. So the Gotham Sirens are ours, Barbara asked. You've been hanging out with Dick too much, man. Maybe. She blushed, but it rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Batman was silent, focusing on where Ivy might be waiting. Do you think she's going to be at the gardens? Barbara asked. Most likely. With an understanding nod, the two began to follow up on their hunt, knowing Ivy's preference in weaponry. This took a while, but they found it. Ivy's lair, situation in the botanical region of Gotham. How could they tell? The massive tree trunks and vines breaking out of it. I'll take Gotham's flora and fauna for 1,000. Barbara joked lightly. Batman gave a small smile before he jumped into the building. He smiled, she thought happily as she followed him. He smiled. She looked around nervously, trying to find Ivy. Where's the weed whackers when you need them, she thought, pushing past the vines and tried to venture deeper into the forest. Found her, Batman said, using body language. Barbara nodded and moved closer, looking around a corner to see what Ivy was doing. She was currently making a lush and dense garden for her to what appeared to be living in. Barbara couldn't help but frown at the beauty that was Ivy. She had flowing red hair down her back, green skin that was emphasized by her affinity for plants, D-cup breasts that were held back by a single Arkham issue prisoner shirt that gave her breasts a constant eye-catching cleavage. She didn't wear any trousers, but they were leaves that protected her privates from exposure. But one did wonder if the drapes matched the carpets. I didn't need to hear that sentence. Really didn't. Ivy was a beautiful woman and could have any man or woman who took her notice with a flick of her wrist, whether it was with her looks or her pheromones, depending on her mood and the cooperation of her target. Barbara asked through her body language, "What do we do?" She has no blind spots. Batman frowned after scanning the room. "How about a light?" Batman thought. "Pardon?" he asked with a raised light bow. Barbara gestured to fire. "That could cause her to panic. In the building she basically controls how large the plants are, then that is bad," he replied. Barbara frowned. All she wanted to do was help. But Batman was right. That would cause more harm than good. Suddenly, vines wrapped around their legs, however, and dragged them toward Ivy. "Burn!" Barbara and Batman grunted as they were dragged towards Ivy. They were soon hung upside down, trapped in thick vines. "Batman and Batgirl, come to take me away again?" Ivy spoke with a sensual tone of voice. "You can't sneak up on me. My babies were there from the beginning." "You're going back to Arkham, Ivy." Batman spoke seriously. "Oh, I don't think so, my Dark Knight," she purred. Barbara frowned as the blood rushed to her head as she saw Ivy sway to Batman's face. "Back up, bitch!" she snapped. "Hmm?" Ivy looked at her casually. "Batgirl," Batman whispered in anger. Batgirl frowned, her body shaking as she glared at Ivy. "Tell me, why did you say it like that? Hmm?" Ivy asked, looking into Barbara's eyes. "Because we all know what you're like," she glared. Oh, I'm hurt." Ivy veined being hurt. Barbara was silent, glaring a bit. "You need to train your partners better than Batman. First was funny, the second one was rough around the edges." "She is something else," Batman commented. "Don't talk about him," she snapped, angry that she mentioned Jason. Batman himself was glaring at her. "Fine, I won't," she answered. Batman was silent, trying to get a batarang. "So why are you here, besides trying to send me to Arkham again?" "That is the reason, Ivy," Batman said seriously. "And here I thought you were willing to learn about horticulture," she sighed. "Where you came from my field." "Your field?" Batman asked, confused. "My field," she nodded, running her hand over her stomach towards her leaf panties mockingly. Um. Uh? Batgirl's lips curled inward and she squealed. "I'm not amused by that, Ivy," Batman spoke, trying to remain conscious. Ivy pouted and blew pheromones over Batman. "Batman! Now then," Ivy commanded the plants to lower him down. "Are you interested now?" Batman was silent, looking directly at her. "Well, Batman, are you?" Ivy inquired again. "No." "What?" How? Ivy backed up. In reply, Batman spat a capsule on the ground which exploded. Gas covering Ivy quickly. "God! What is... Oh!" Ivy groaned and collapsed on the floor. "Knockout gas," he said simply, the vines releasing them. Barbara dropped down to the floor and held her breath so she didn't inhale the gas. Once the gas was gone, Batman picked Ivy up, resting her on his shoulders. "You okay?" Batman asked as Barbara could breathe again. Yeah," she nodded, unable to stop herself noticing how close his hand was to Ivy's ass and frowning even if so slightly. "She was out of line," he spoke as they left. "About him?" Barbara asked. "Yeah, she was." They left, knowing to drop her off at the Gotham police, otherwise her powers would let her escape. "So, are the others still out there or back at the cave?" Barbara asked. "What others?" Batman asked. Roxy, Rocket, and such," Barbara answered. "The others have already been apprehended," Batman. "Your brain might have too much blood drowning it." "Maybe," she nodded as they dropped Ivy off, grinding her teeth as she saw how delicately she was treating Ivy. And to make matters worse, the other female villains were brought in, well, Harley and Catwoman were at least. "Let's go, Batgirl," he said respectfully. She nodded, but, "Hey, you B-man! Oh, you caught red! And she's sleeping." "Aww," Harley gasped happily. Harley, Batman startled and groaned at the Clown Queen. Not to be so cold, Bats. I wouldn't mind you visiting me myself sometimes. Catwoman called cheekily, seductively. Harley and Catwoman kept on getting under Batman's Batgirl skin. No wonder Dick called them the Gotham Sirens. When they were getting under Barbara's skin, Batman seemed unaffected, because he's Batman. Let's see how far. You're lucky we didn't do worse, Batman commented. Let's go, Batman snarled gently. Bye-bye, B-Man, Harley waved. What is wrong, Barbara? You've been acting off all night, Batman said after they left. Wrong? Nothing's wrong. Would anything be wrong? Barbara answered defensively. Barbara, he frowned. Batman, fine. Okay, Barbara answered. Barbara, he said one last time with his unbreaking glare. I didn't like that they were flirting with you, Barbara answered. Why? Cause she blushed. I just... Barbara frowned, looking at the floor. I like you, okay? What? Batman blinked before Batgirl kissed him. She kept the kiss there until she pulled back and blushed. She was blushing and ran off. Damn it, damn it, damn it! She cried as she headed back home. She couldn't go back to the Batcave after that. Little did she know that next day Batman would act exactly the same. He never brought it up. That helped her forget. Pretend it never happened. And somehow, they got on from that. Until the Joker fired that gun. Things didn't get easy, did they? She asked herself, gripping her trouser legs. I'm sorry, Barbara. A familiar voice said sadly from behind her. Batman! She turned around in shock. Seeing Bruce, he was standing there in a new costume. It was mainly armored and terrifying. It looked mostly metal with only the legs seemed to be made out of the original weave. But all of it was upgraded. He reached up, pulled off his helmeted cowl cap, and off his head, revealing his face. What are you doing, Bruce? Barbara gasped in his face. She's seen him before, his face being that of a man in the picture. She's seen him a lot. They were friends, but at the same time, he never normally came to her and take his mask off. Bruce, what are you doing here? Barbara asked in shock. Can I visit? I guess so, she nodded, though feeling ashamed or embarrassed to seeing him in the circumstances. What's wrong? He frowned. Things have felt awkward between us since that happened. Now I'm stuck in this, Barbara sighed. Barbara, he pulled his helmet down, falling down to her eye level to look at her. I get it that I'm not the most beautiful, but now I'm stuck in this. I don't know if I'll even be able to make a guy want me like that. Like sounding selfish, superficial, and sad? Barbara sighed as if he didn't see anything. Bruce didn't answer with words, but instead he placed his hand over hers. You don't sound any of those things, Barbara. Bruce, she asked, gasping silently as she blinked in shock. You have a beauty that the sirens don't have. Sure, they have a sexual appeal aura about them, but that's part of their charm, Bruce answered. You got so much more. You call them sirens, Barbara giggled gently. Dick doesn't shut up. Bruce joked with a small smile. Barbara was laughing again, smiling. See, you got a genuine smile. Something that they don't have. Bruce reassured her. Barbara smiled and began to cry, hugging him tightly as best she could. Bruce smiled weakly, hugging her back. It's okay, Barbara. It's okay, he hushed her gently. Barbara sniffed as she ended the hug, and kissed him. They kissed for a few good minutes, before Barbara broke it. I'm sorry, she gasped, her eyes widening. It's okay. I bet you've been wanting to do that for ages. He smiled lightly. What? She blinked, blushing. Time with the sirens. I didn't forget. You seem to want to forget, and I respected that, he answered. Barbara blinked and looked away, blushing. Barbara, he smiled lightly and cupped her cheek. What? She blinked, asking curiously. Okay. He answered and then kissed her. Barbara hummed in shock and then happiness. She wrapped her arms around him, quickly kissing back. For Barbara, this was like a dream. It was like a dream come true. From one she had had for so long, she smiled, feeling his skilled lips against her own. She moaned happily as she let him take a form of control. He cupped her cheek gently, keeping the kiss from going too far while also showing her all the love she'd never dreamed of. Bruce, she panted through the kiss, wanting to tell him over and over about how much she loved him. He then broke the kiss, looked down gently at her. Bruce, she purred, looking at him and rested on his chest. It's okay, he soothed. Okay. Barbara nodded and rested on his person. I love you, he whispered. You love me? Barbara hoped he would repeat it again. So it wasn't a dream? Yes, he nodded, but I'm... Barbara, don't say anything negative. Batman hushed her. I love you for you, Barbara. No, not Batman. Bruce Wayne. Can you stay with me? Barbara asked. Of course. Time's Bruce and Barbara were out in the park with Bruce pushing her wheelchair for her. This is nice, he smiled. I know. You hardly forget that this is Gotham, Barbara answered. I never give up on the city, he said simply. I know you wouldn't, Bruce. She reached up to his hand. I think I can help you, he sighed. Um, Bruce, what are you talking about? Barbara asked. Wayne Enterprises may have found a way to help you walk. I can walk again? Barbara gasped as she and Bruce stopped. Maybe. It could also kill you if we're wrong. Death, or I can walk again. Barbara summarized and placed her free hand on her leg. Maybe. Bruce nodded. We're going to keep working on it, and I will keep you up to date, he promised. I'll hold you to it, Bruce, she said. Bruce nodded, kissing her. Barbara was currently in the hospital, some months after Bruce had mentioned the treatment. She had gotten some promising results, but there was still the risk. There was still that chance of death. She would not be successful, but she wanted to walk. It was a decision that she took months of personal debate, and she was willing to take the risk. She wanted to walk again. She wanted to be able to walk with Bruce, hold his hand. She wanted to be his equal again. Are you ready, Miss Gordon? The doctor asked. Just give me a minute, please. I need a minute with my dad and Bruce, Barbara answered. Of course. Barbara walked over, taking her hand in his. It'll be fine, he soothed. I know, but just in case, I don't want to go without saying this. I love you, Bruce, and thank you for everything great in my life. She smiled with tears in her eyes. Bruce nodded, with a smile, kissing her lovingly. As Bruce broke the kiss, she smiled happily. Can you send my dad in, please? Of course, he nodded, walking out. As Bruce left, Jim came in. He was dressed in his white shirt and black tie, with light brown trousers and black shorts. Barb, he spoke with a sudden sniff. I'll be fine, Dad. Bruce has hired the best doctors in the world that would do the job, Barbara smiled. I know, but I can't help but feel worried. You're my daughter, he smiled lightly. It's fine. I love you, Dad, she smiled, hugging him. I love you too, Barbara, he whispered back. 30 hours. 30 hours since Barbara's surgery. The doctors had hooked her up to all manner of machines to monitor her. Both men of Barbara's life were waiting outside as calm as possible. Time seemed to skip by slowly. Bruce and Jim were waiting with 2 cups of coffee next to him. Soon, he whispered, we should be getting news soon. Like having another child. Jim sighed, rubbing his eyes. Waiting. Bruce sighed, rubbing his forehead. Scorn, Mr. Waynes. Barbara's in a stable condition. The doctor came in. She constant? Jim asked immediately. She's asleep, but she's all right, the doctor nodded. Did it work? The HP policeman said nervously. Doctor looked at the 2 and asked her, we prepared her spine. It'll take time, but she will walk again. Doctor answered, thank God. Gordon answered happily. Bruce smiled lightly. Thanks, Doctor, Bruce answered. You're both welcome, the doctor answered. Thank you, Bruce, Gordon sighed. You're welcome, Bruce answered. Barbara was walking up slowly from a long night's sleep, from the drugs and surgery. She groaned slightly, blinking. She yawned, breathing slowly as she was resting on the bed. She looked around and saw Bruce, asleep in a chair next to her. Bruce, she smiled lightly. How long did you stay? She reached over, rocking him gently. Bruce slowly awoke, feeling Barbara's hand rocking him. Oops. Bruce slowly awoke, feeling Barbara's hand rocking him. Hey, he smiled. Hi, she whispered. You were asleep. Surgery does that, Barbara joked. Did it work? Can you feel your legs, he asked, hoping she'd be okay. Don't know. Still sleepy, Barbara sighed. Bruce smiled, kissing her gently. I'll tell your father you're fine, Bruce whispered. Thank you. Barbara yawned as she drifted off to sleep. He smiled as she fell asleep again, kissing her forehead one last time. Bruce quietly leapt out as he let Barbara sleep. Outside the room was Jim, asleep himself, or at least trying to remain awake as best he could. She's okay, Jim smiled. She's awake? He asked tiredly. No, asleep. She's fine. Bruce answered. Jim nodded, sighing happily. As I should head home. Safe here, he sighed, rubbing his eyes. And Joker is locked up. She should be safe. Bruce nodded. Good. Good. I'll sleep easier tonight, he sighed. Bruce nodded, patting Jim's shoulder, before he stopped him. Jim, I want to ask you something, Bruce sighed. What is it? Jim asked, trying to stay awake. I want to ask Barbara to marry me. You want you and Barbara? He asked, instantly waking up from hearing what Bruce said. Bruce nodded, staying quiet. Jim slumped down into the chair provided. Bruce Wayne, wanting to marry his daughter, he didn't know what to say. She says yes, then I will give you my blessing, he sighed. Bruce sighed and smiled. Thank you, Jim. Make her happy, Jim frowned. I will, Jim. I promise, Bruce nodded. It was a few weeks after Barbara's operation. Bruce helping her into his home. She had leg braces while she was in her wheelchair. Thank you, Bruce, she smiled. It's no problem, Barbara, he said, rubbing her shoulders. But we're home, Barbara added. We're home, Bruce smiled, his hand slipping into his pocket cautiously. Bruce? Barbara asked as she noticed his hand. Darn reflex, he muttered a bit, pulling out a box and walking around before falling to one knee and opening his box carefully. Bruce, Barbara gasped, seeing the open box and Bruce down on one knee. Can you bring yourself to marry me? He asked with a cautious smile. Bruce, she gasped and saw the ring, gently clasping the box and examining it. She started to choke up crying. Yes, she nodded in excitement. Bruce smiled and sighed in relief as she hugged him. The box in her lap, so it was safe. Really? He asked gently. She slipped on the ring and her finger and showed him. Yes, she smiled, kissing her lovingly. Oh, God. There we go, Bruce smiled, holding Barbara's hand as he helped her walk. Barbara's stride was a little slow, but it had been ages since using her legs. It was a miracle that she could walk again, and she was going to take every chance to walk down the aisle. Don't rush yourself. Still recovering, he encouraged. I know. She took another step forward and seemingly buckled from the pain, landing in Bruce's arms. Bruce wrapped his arms around her, holding her close. Okay, he soothed. Almost, she sniffed. Barbara, you're still recovering. Your legs weren't used for nearly a year. Calm down. We'll get to soon. Bruce smiled. Barbara nodded. Can you carry me? Always, he smiled, picking her up. How's Dad? She asked as she was put into the wheelchair. Worried about you, but he's holding strong, Bruce answered. Scared, Bruce. Scared of what? He asked calmly as she looked into her eyes. Just the future. Our lives are crazy, she admitted. I admit. This is scary. We can do it. We can make it work, Bruce reassured her. Barbara nodded and kissed him nervously. We'll get through this, Barbara. I promise, he thought. I promise. Time skip. Bruce and Barbara's wedding was coming closer, and the two were still worried about their future together, but at least Barbara could walk now, even if she had to be careful as to not tire herself out, and they were now just getting on the CD, relaxing as best they could. That was when Alfred walked over, carrying a tray of food. Oh, Alfred. Thank you, Barbara spoke. Not at all, Miss Gordon. Alfred responded kindly. He took a sandwich, smiling. How are you both feeling? He asked. Better, Bruce smiled. I'm good. Thank you, Alfred, she added after eating a bite from her sandwich. Alfred chuckled, smiling. Tea or any beverage? Alfred asked. Tea, please, Barbara smiled. Same for me as well. Thank you, Bruce added. Of course. The butler nodded and left. He's too good for you, Barbara joked. Yeah, you're right, Bruce chuckled. I don't know what I'd do without him. Probably struggle, Barbara giggled. Definitely, Bruce said, rolling his eyes. She snuggled into him. Have you thought of putting a costume on again? Bruce asked, knowing how Barbara was. Barbara frowned. I should, but it's all your choice, Barbara. You can be reckless. If we don't talk this through, you'll make a snap decision, he said seriously. I know. I'm not sure if I'm ready, Barbara answered. As I said, it is your choice. It will always be your choice, and I will support you. If you want to get into a costume again, it is not your choice, he replied. Can I have a while to think about it, she asked. Of course. As I said, I wanted to talk before you brashly chose to go out again and something bad happens. I worry for you. I know. I love you, she looked up at him. I love you too, he smiled. Barbara brushed her hair, getting ready for her wedding. You look great, Barbara, one of Barbara's bridesmaids spoke kindly. It was Kara Kent, Supergirl. Thanks, Kara. And thank you for being my bridesmaid, Barbara asked. It's no problem. What are friends for? Kara asked. Barbara Moran hugged her. Looking at her other bridesmaids, there was Betty Kane, Dinah Lance, Helena Belson, I don't know, I butchered that name, and a few others. All friends. All people who Barbara trusted with her life. Ready, Barbara? Ellen asked kindly. As I'll ever be, she nodded with a nervous smile. As Barbara began to walk out, she saw her father ready to take her down the aisle. Hey, Dad. She smiled, looping her arm with his. Can't believe I get to see you married, Jim smiled. Dad, she smiled, chuckling. There's been all brides here before getting married. Here comes the bride. Guess you can't beat tradition sometimes, Barbara chuckled. Nope. Jim smiled, the two walking out. As she walked down the aisle, they were greeted by their old friends and partners from the Justice League, with Bruce awaiting her at the altar. She smiled when she walked up to him. Bruce looked at her in amazement. She was dressed in a silvery white bride's gown, with a snowflake-styled veil, a rose corsage, and a small hidden bat motif on her chest. You're beautiful, he smiled. You're chivalrous, she smiled, looking forward. Bruce was wearing a proper black suit, tie and trousers with a red nose in his jacket pocket. His white shirt was nearly pressed, and his shoes were polished. His link cuffs were simple silver squares, but he had them embroidered on the inside of his jacket. He chuckled, wanting to kiss her, but knowing he had to wait. The priest began the speech, as proudly as she could, sanctifying Bruce and Barbara's marriage. Time seemed to speed from that point, but the important part was soon coming. The bride's and groom's vows. I do, the two said, their vows done quickly. I now pronounce you man and wife. You may kiss the bride, the priest smiled. Bruce lifted off Barbara's veil and kissed her gently and passionately, to the thunderous applause to the church. Barbara smiled happily into the kiss. She was Barbara Wayne now, and now she had the life of her as her husband. It was a few months later from Bruce and Barbara's honeymoon. The pair were now sleeping in their bed after a night of passion. It's so good to feel this again, Barbara muttered happily, especially when it's amazing as that was. You were better, Barbara commented. Please, you're the super skilled billionaire, she joked. But you're the smart one, he added, kissing her. I'm kind of hungry. Breakfast, she suggested. You stayed here. I'll get you breakfast in bed, he smiled. Thank you. She answered sleepily, but repositioned herself so she was upright. He missed her gently before he put a black robe on. That fine ass is mine, she thought puckishly. She opened the back side table drawer, pulling out a small white pen with an item with a red plus sign on it. So that is Batman and Batgirl Love and Light. That's I'm gonna be frank. This is not that good. The story was not that good. It was incredible. It was paced horrendously. There was a lot of grammar errors. I do think this does have problems. The problem is the story is just so catastrophically structured that it comes off as very, very cluttered. It comes off as so claustrophobically cluttered, if I'm using the oxymoron. So let me get this straight. So the story starts with a flashback. Fine. And then we see Oracle. Okay? But then it goes to a flashback. Then we see several other flashbacks. With Batman, with Barbara getting jealous of Batman with the way the sirens are treating her. And then we just basically get like a whole bunch of time skips. Which is... This is where the problem starts. The time skips. They were just an obscene amount of time skips. There didn't need to be all these time skips. There didn't need to be anything of that. You could have easily parlayed it into like showing like in the months that pass and like some other time skip without showing the word time skip every single part of the story. Bruce professing his love to Barbara, it came out of nowhere. I get that, this whole story is supposed to be based off the whole scene from The Killing Joke. I get that, but we haven't. There's literally no reason behind Bruce professing his love. It was incredibly shallow and not really thought out well. Barbara's character was rushed. Jim was completely irrelevant. The sirens were completely irrelevant. Or Bruce was irrelevant. There's so many grammar errors. The plot is completely scattered. The pacing is scattered. Nothing about this story is not exactly good from a technical standpoint. I get what you wanted to go for with saying it didn't fit the movie, but it fit the characters. I get that. The problem is the story is just way too structurally scattered to make the most of what you're trying to accomplish, what the author is trying to accomplish. It is that bad. I have to give it a 1 out of 5. It's that bad. I mean, I'm tempted to bump it up with a 2 simply because it was kind of going for something with the flashback, but then it just completely shot itself with all the time skips. Just instead of showing Barbara's struggles of her, slowly her working her up, or at least talking about how she was healing, it just skips to the next scene randomly. It just makes not barely anything about the story makes any structural sense. Again, I mean, we kind of get Barbara's reasoning, a mentor worship, fine, but we don't have Bruce's reasons. Half the stuff with Ivy doesn't make sense. Like, seriously, that Ivy kind of, putting her hands near her crotch was actually completely unneeded in that part. Catwoman and Harley, that makes sense, but Ivy, that was just really, really weird. That whole part was just completely not even that bad written. It was just, there was no reason for Ivy to kind of really do that. Not to mention some of the sentence words were like carpet matching the drapes that really did not need to be there. There was just so many weird decisions. I can't give it any more than a 1. It is that bad. 1 out of 5. So that is Batman and Batgirl Love in the Night by Grey King 46. This story was a complete shambles. If this story was structured more coherently, I would have bumped it up to a 3. Because the main problem is the structure of the story itself and the pacing. That's the main problem. I can kind of excuse Batman being shallow. I can excuse Ivy with her weirdness, because that scene was just uncalled for in that scenario. But it was all the parts with like them talking and everything. If it had some better story structure, then I would bump it up to 3. I probably wouldn't bump it up any higher, but at least it would be tolerable. So yeah, that is Batman and Batgirl Love in the Night. This has been Dark Symphony 777, and cut.